5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to the Rideshare Zone, where every ride matters. And now, here is your host, Shawn, the Colorado Rideshare Guy.
Hey, welcome everyone. Here we are, episode number 15 of the Rideshare Zone. Thanks everyone for coming in. Looks like we got a few people already in the chat. Let's say hi real quick before we get kicking this thing off. Hope everybody's had a great week so far. Mine's been a little crazy today, but we're here. We managed to get it done, and all's going well. We got Twin Pines Studio in. What's up? Awesome, Amy. How you doing? Bubba Sue, what's going on? Did you get that new dash cam installed yet? That's what we all want to know. And let's see. I think we got everybody covered that's in the chat right now. Welcome in everyone else. And we will get things kicked off with, of course, what's our favorite subject? Waymo. So this one's kind of simple, but it's not, because Waymo is so stuck on stupid. I don't even know what to do about this anymore, guys. I mean, here we are. So this was last week in Austin when they had a lot of rains. Now, if you remember, what had gone on in Austin was that they were driving into flooded areas. And now they've done the exact opposite. So this is a still photo that was a snapshot from the video that was taken. But the stupid Waymo now won't even go around. And you can see the cars left, gave it room, and then cars are having to merge into it. So yeah, now they've went and took I'm stuck on stupid and went to La La Land and said, I'm afraid of water. I don't know. I guess it can only get the bottom of its shoes wet. It doesn't want to get any more of its shoes wet. But I mean, that's going to be a challenge for these things, because I mean, I know as a driver, if it's an area that I'm not familiar with and I haven't been in like parking lots and I see there's a lot of water there, I am very, very cautious about driving. I'm just not going, hell bent for leather going through there looking to see what's going on. So it's understandable that that it's going to take precautions, but how cautious is too cautious? You just don't stop in the middle of a damn highway and road, particularly if you saw a car in front of you go and you're able to gauge what's going on. But this is the intelligent things that human beings are able to do that's not built into the code on these freaking Waymos. So here we are still having damn problems with these things. And I don't know. What do you guys think? What's the answer? I know what my answer is. I think we all agree. Pull them back. The technology is not there. There's a whole bunch of things, and a whole bunch of legislation, including legislation in Colorado that passed like 10 years ago, allowing for autonomous vehicles. And now they're trying to do some other legislation that I don't remember if it passed or not, but I have some notes on it. But anyway, yeah, these things are still continuing to grow to be a big, giant pain in the ass. I mean, they should find some potholes and go fill some potholes with the Waymos. But turn around, don't drown, says Bubba Sue. Well, yeah. Just turn around, go back to your docking station and stay in charge mode forever. That's what really needs to happen with these ridiculous things. So anyway, that's what we got going on with Waymo. I thought I'd keep that one kind of short because it's up to the same old stupidity, and until something changes, that's what we got. Just more promoting stupidity of Waymo. That's all we can do right now, guys. So moving on here, we've got kind of a new entry. We've not talked a lot about this, but as far as like ADA and disabilities, one thing that Kia has done is they've developed a prototype vehicle, and this was released at the New York Auto Show, but it's an EV. So they're still leaning into that market where a lot of people are going back and forth and back and forth. Of course, the recent fuel prices started putting another push back out to the EV market, but a lot of the auto manufacturers, they're already pulling back from it. It's because a lot of them are looking at hydrogen technology and personal eVTOLs. No, I'm kidding. We're a ways away, at least in the U.S., from having our own personal Jetson car. But so this is a concept car that they modified, and they put a rear entry ramp in. Unfortunately, there wasn't a picture with it, but I think we've all kind of seen those. And then they have the tie downs and restraints to help secure wheelchairs, not people. Steve, I see you came in. Welcome in. And so yeah, it's kind of an interesting little thing. And of course, they're promoting it in New York City, where they're it's always been such a hot market for both rideshare and taxi. So they're trying to hit both those markets with it. So anyway, that's kind of what we got with that for something new that's entering potentially into the market. Again, it's a concept vehicle, so I'm sure they were trying to gauge interest from there and see what people thought. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna fly through these, and I don't have answers on everything, but I know a lot of you get really bored with legislation. Hell, I am so tired of looking at legislation myself, and all the daily and sometimes hourly changes have been going off, particularly in Colorado. But these are kind of important, but I'm going to go through them really quick. I decided I'll do a longer video. Going to try and start a new series called The Parking Lot, and where I do kind of stuff like that, where I'll just kind of do an introduction into some of these things. It might be a little drier material for some. So just do the introduction here and then deep dive into them on that segment. So we'll see what we got here. But I mean, there's so many bills. There was like 8 different bills that either directly or indirectly impacted gig work. And again, some of them already have gone to other states. Good news is, one of my least favorite bills did end up getting dead, and that's the maximum, the take rate bill. So the 80-20 thing, where there was even one rideshare company that falsely testified saying they're giving their drivers 80%, but that's what everybody was pushing for. And again, I thought that was really greedy of the drivers. Welcome in, traveler. And to be so short-sighted, if you can't make money, like I said before, at 40-60%, how can you expect $1 billion company to operate at 20%? But anyway, I digress. I'm not going too far into it, but that one's dead. So I think it's a huge victory. I know there's a bunch of drivers and driver advocates, including CIDU, and that are different driver advocates than me. I'm looking out for the long game and for the intelligent drivers. I don't want to hand out, and drivers that I support and want to build up into stronger drivers. This is a bad bill. And if you look and see what happened, like in Washington, whenever they, did the flat fare, New York City, all these places, you see driver pay went down. It's that short game. Oh, I'm going to get more. No, you're not. So anyway, that one's dead. Hallelujah. Moving on. Next one. This one. No problem with this one at all. It was HB26-1273. It was a transportation network company discrimination practices. It's mirroring ADA. Whatever. They wasted time just to go get everything done and pass through it. I supported it anyway. Nobody I know, violates ADA. And if you're just go do something else. If you're a rideshare driver, you don't want to make reasonable accommodations for disabled people. That's my word on that. Moving on again really quickly. I want to zoom through these. The HB26-1424, that's the other real big one that you've heard me make a lot of noise about, the rideshare transportation safety bill. It either got passed or is sitting dead in the whole floor right now. Up until like 5 minutes before I got on here, they were still debating and introducing bills and so on and so forth, and I did not see anything. It was on the calendar for this bill, but I didn't see it on the agenda anywhere. So maybe there was just some note-taking issues or something. I don't know. So yeah, the tamale bill. No, the tamale bill is a real thing. Yeah, that's expanding on the cottage food laws. But Steve, the other one that's even more important. Hold on, I gotta go to my next page here. That was the I didn't get it in my notes because I promised I was going to keep some of these short. Anyway, what I kept referring to is the napkin law, and they were expanding on the plastic bag law. That one did pass, and I don't have which House bill that was, but anyway. Again, I'm going to dig deep into these. It'll probably end up being a long thing. Steve wants to talk about that one on Thursday, so I'll hold that one for Thursday to go over that. And by then, the legislative session will be done, so whatever's finalized is finalized. Whatever's not, is not. There's a few things still waiting to be to sit on the governor's desk. Another interesting one for people who do rideshare. Colorado, there's now a law that's been passed, and the governor's already signed it, saying that you can no longer block a bike lane, like stopping to pick up a passenger or to make a catering delivery or a drop off of any sort. It's more than double parking now. It's up to $100 fine. That you can't stop, stand, or park in a bike lane, of course, with limited exceptions, with avoiding traffic conflict. Not sure what that means. So if you're like road raging, does that mean you pull over into the bike lane to have your road rage incident? I don't know. But anyway, to avoid a traffic conflict or following police directions. So if you get pulled over by a cop, I guess you can still pull over in a bike lane. Then they'll probably yell at you and say, "You pulled over in a bike lane. Here's another citation for you." So don't be stuck on stupid. Don't do that. Turn on your flashers. Go around to a safe spot. Should always pull into a parking lot if you get pulled over by law enforcement. If you can, obviously don't go traveling 4 miles down the highway doing that. But anyway, there's a whole lot of legislation stuff that went through. Got a few others. There was the surveillance price and wage setting. That one, I believe, passed as well. And that was kind of interesting because I was told, and I haven't verified this, so don't quote me as this being solid, but that this was the using algorithms to set prices. So this will be really interesting. Didn't have time to get into this one. If it passed and they did include rideshare, that's going to really change the market for it. And I have mixed emotions on it, so I need to dig into that and see what's going on with it. So coming to a town near you, looks like more dynamic pricing is using algorithms is going to be going out the door, because it's apparently gone out the door in Colorado. Another interesting one I never talked about, and I'm sure it passed without any problems, but Public Utilities Commission, the PUC that regulates the TNCs and all the rideshare companies, taxi companies, and yada, 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 and a whole bunch of other stuff, they were set to sunset. But anyway, there's a bill out there saying whether they were to keep going into 2037. I'm sure it would be ridiculous not to pass unless somebody threw some pork fat in there that just made a whole bunch of people mad, because I mean it really is an organization that needs to exist. I think they give them too much authority, but that's a whole nother conversation for another time. There you go. That's probably the quickest I've ever wrapped up any single piece of legislation, let alone about 8 pieces of legislation. Let's go back over to chat here real quick before we move on to our next topic. So let's see. So Thursday, talk about the tamale bill. Yes, it's a real thing. Tamales. I love tamales. I like Trump tamales too. I don't care who you are. We got some great trunk tamales down here in Colorado, especially in southern Colorado. Absolutely ridiculous, the tamale bill. I think we're confusing the tamale bill with the again with the napkin bill. Those are two different bills. So that one, so the tamale bill was actually allowing for roadside, for like farmers markets. So it goes into the cottage food laws. So it allows, because technically, because trunk tamales, as a lot of us call them, are actually illegal in Colorado. So what that was doing was allowing those to be sold. So I think you might be getting confused on the two bills rather than the one that I call the napkin bill. That was one that expanded on where you can't ask for. You have to ask for a napkin. You have to ask for a fork. You have to ask for a straw. You have to ask for a toothpick if you're at a farmer's market getting a sample. Stupid stuff like that. Yeah, that bill's dumb and ridiculous. So a meter ticket in downtown Denver is now $70. So if you like in Colorado Springs, they have these stupid parking configurations, bike lane configurations, where like you could be in both. So if you pulled over, would you get both a parking ticket and a bike lane ticket on that one? Or is that double jeopardy? No, I think they could probably, stack it up if they wanted to. So, all right, what else we got going on in the chat here? It only applies to legally registered cars, not expired paper tags. Well, because they don't have anybody an unregistered vehicle. It doesn't have a confirmed address. So, yeah, I could see that. Let's see. Legislation, we'd have all the bills finished in 4 hours. Abso-freaking-lutely, Steve. I mean, we'd throw out so much of stupid stuff, just going, okay, this is already covered under federal law. We don't need more legislation. We look at that and say, is it going to improve the people? Is it going to put more money in my pocket? Those should be the two major things that people look at, but then they get short-sighted and they're like, oh, I need to punish everybody because of one incident or a small group of people. But anyway, yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. Who is that? TR, hey, what's up? Let's see. We need dynamic pricing for rideshare because Uber and Lyft charges those businesses $100 for airport rides, and now they're going down to $50. See, right there. There's an argument for the dynamic pricing, and I'm okay with limited dynamic pricing. These huge surges when they go and screw the customer over significantly, that's a bunch of crap, and particularly when it doesn't get to when it whittles down, doesn't get to the driver. And that's the thing. They want, like, oh, we're going to do this 80-20. Oh, we're going to stop dynamic pricing. How about you just go back to a freaking rate card? Miles and minutes. There you go. It's pretty freaking simple. That's what if they want to solve this problem about driver pay and everything, then keep the upfront pricing and so on and so forth, because it's going to be the same thing. Anybody with some basic math skills, even me, can figure that out. So, that's what it really needs to come down to is, get rid of all this crap. Let's go back to sensible things. But geez, we've gotten to a society where we have to use our technology to either exploit people or take advantage of this or that and everything else. And good evening, Joe. Welcome in Jam Woodworking. But yeah, there we go. That's kind of it. Steve says, "Fact, Shawn. I assume he means on my 2 points. Does it help the people, or does it improve my my financial living?" That would be pretty easy to get through those and get them knocked out. Said the higher the company charges, the less the customers use the app. Yeah, so and that's the whole problem with it, Steve. But again, if they just get rid of it and go back to a rate card, and if you have 3-tiered pricing, like you have your morning, your afternoon, if they had 3 different tiers, and that really is dynamic pricing right there. It's not the surge and on-demand pricing that really see that would be a dynamic. The true definition of dynamic pricing is where it's consistent except for under these situations. The surge pricing crap, where it's like, oh, it's not just supply and demand. There's a whole lot of other factors of how much can I get this person to pay, and that happens on every single ride that these people are doing. Or how much can I get the rider? How low can I get the rider to take this ride for? That crap needs to be eliminated. So, dynamic, non-transparent cost is ridiculous. Well, yeah. Again, rate card. It's not the best thing in the world, but you know what? You know how bad you're getting screwed up front as a passenger, and you know how bad you're getting screwed as a driver up front. So I think that's the simple and easy solution to end all this crap. Everyone is not going to be happy no matter what the decision is. And that's okay. I'm not happy sometimes with a lot of these decisions. I'm not happy a lot of the times with the decisions a lot of our lawmakers make. But it is what it is. I'm not a lawmaker, so I don't have to agree with it or support it. But I am a citizen of this country, so, if I choose to break whatever stupid laws they put, then I have to suffer the consequences with it. And that's just how life in general goes. But we don't need this abundance of all this legislation. So anyway, enough of that discussion. We'll talk more about it Thursday when Steve and I get together for Thursday Night Gig Worker Live. We'll have a lot of fun on that one, I'm sure. We always do. So moving on, we got some kind of, I don't know what kind of mood I was in when I was putting this together, but I got a lot of dark subjects. So we may have to go back to the Waymo one or go find the little birds video and throw that in there to lighten this night up. But so we got a Lyft rider that got dead after assault. Now, how do y'all think that happened? It's not going to be how you think it happened unless you have already seen the article. So there was a 50-year-old intoxicated Uber passenger. Now you're starting to paint the picture a little bit more. Yeah, it is a dark world, Steve. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. But anyway, so 50-year-old intoxicated Uber passenger that was apparently highly intoxicated, according to the Uber driver, that he was on his way to taking him to his home in Vallejo, California, or Vallejo for all you people. Anyway, for all you gringos. All right. So anyway, dude apparently started getting belligerent in the car. Driver calls 911. He's going down I-80. Joe, you're familiar with I-80 near Vallejo. How would you like that? Now, even at 1:15 in the morning, flying down I-80 with, a drunk guy yelling and screaming and then beating on you, that warrants kicking their ass out of the car. And so anyway, he calls 911, says he stopped his car on the shoulder of the eastbound lane, and then says his passenger began to verbally and physically assault him. Oh, good. Now we're frozen again. Okay, here we are, back to our regularly scheduled program. So anyway, driver gets out of the car. After the passenger got out of the car, we don't know why he got out of the car. They didn't give us that information. But apparently, passenger was trucking down the road. Driver went after him. Why, I don't know. Unless he had his keys or something. There's no damn reason he should have went adios vaya con Dios to the guy. Should have said, go with God. And he needed that, obviously, because he goes running, stumbling, whatever his drunken ass was doing, going down the road, and a woman in an Audi cruising down I-80 says, smack. So, dude got hit, 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it's, and she didn't see him, wasn't able to, stop in time. And so the guy got, obviously, a little bit of karma. They weren't going to wait for the cops to catch up with him and give him his karma. That karma itself, herself, himself, whatever, decided to take some action. And yeah, unfortunately for the lady that was driving the Audi, I mean, that's got to be horrifying to have done that to a person, and so, and of course, Uber gives their normal statements of, our thoughts go out to the people impacted by this, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that's, don't get drunk and get into an Uber. And especially don't get drunk, get into an Uber, be belligerent, and start beating on your driver. Because you get the wrong driver, you're going to have you're not going to have a worse day. This guy had the worst day that you can have. So, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, says Amy. Abso-freaking-lutely. So, all right. Well, if that wasn't enough fun, let's move on to our next one. And now we're going to go after some idiots in Maryland. Some of you East Coasters might be familiar with this, but there was a carjacking ring back in 2022. Yes, 2022. This is how long it took to get the sentencing on this one. Anyway, there was a carjacking ring in 2022, and what they were doing was going through and they would order a rideshare. There was like 6 of these individuals that were involved. And this kid's 18 now, so that would have made him much younger. We're just going to, anyway, I told you basic math, but I need a calculator. But anyway, so was I like 14, 15? Anyway, so they were involved in these carjackings. They'd order an Uber, and then they would carjack the Uber driver, keep his phone, and then whenever they would get another ride, this is why it's really important to know, to make sure your damn driver matches, not just because it's probably a fake account, because that's the most likely thing to happen, but here's what was happening here. They carjacked freaking Uber driver, took his phone from him so he didn't have any, and then they'd wait for a ride to come in. They'd go pick up they'd get the ride, and then they would abduct and hold the passenger hostage, take them to an ATM machine, clear out all the money on their card, and sometimes assault the passengers in both ways, for verbal and physical in multiple ways. And so apparently what they would do is, I don't know why. No, I do know why. Never mind. See, I'm not a good carjacker. But they put the drivers in the trunk. Now, again, the gig would be up pretty quickly with me, because I'd be kicking the hell out of it any time they stop and whatever. But so they had this really well orchestrated, really well planned out. So 6 of them, and they had 40 incidents. So this wasn't like the first time they did it, but yeah, they would just. So make sure, passengers, when not just that the vehicle matches, but look at the picture. And if the person doesn't match, use your spidey senses. If something tells you it's wrong, don't get in the damn car. Contact Uber. They'll refund you as long as you don't have Dara's passenger score. And we'll talk about that a little bit, as what his score is as a passenger. So yeah, but he got 75 years in prison, and all but 40 were suspended. So, okay, whatever. The first 30 years be served without possibility of parole. And So yeah, for terrorizing, 40, so 40 incidents. So that means there's at least 80 victims. If these were all perpetrated, at least 80 victims perpetrated the same way, because you had the driver and then you had the passenger that were victimized by these idiots. So to me, not even close to enough. But I also think this would be appropriate for corporal then capital punishment. So anyway, all right, back over here to the chat here. TR says, Mr. Rodeo, we need more money, sir, as drivers. And make those apps work for you, not you work for them, man. But yeah, everybody understands your sentiment on that one. So, okay, are we in the shadows, and is it dark enough yet here for you? Because apparently I needed to put another wonderful little one in here. This one would almost be humorous. It could be written so it was humorous, other than a deputy got hurt in this one. So the next one, we are back over to, we went from one coast, now we went from California to Maryland, and now we're going back to California again. And this is now we're back to bad Uber driver. So there was an Uber driver that held a woman hostage for 9 hours. And why did he hold her hostage for 9 hours? Because she became what he felt was a good bargaining chip, because he got pulled over by a deputy with the LA County Sheriff's Office for what they describe as code violations. Expired registration, I don't know, because I get nagged all the time. I got to upload my new registration this month. I get nagged about it all the time. So I don't know what kind of code violations he was accused of, but he got pulled over on a traffic stop. And then, again, remember, this is California. In Colorado, if you get pulled over and they see a gun in your car, probably, unless you're in Denver, nothing's going to happen. And honestly, I mean, so different people have different experiences, but most places in Colorado, you get pulled over, you just say, hey, hands on the steering wheel. I have a firearm in my car. And they'll say, you don't touch yours, I don't touch mine. And that's pretty much the end of it. But they're also sizing up the situation. Somebody's cool and disclosing it to them. But anyway, this dude apparently had a pistol in his waistband. I can't even stand to have my belt buckle poking at me all day whenever I'm driving, let alone have a pistol in my waistband that would be able to be seen. So anyway, so something ensued, and then the driver tried to take off. So he drugged the deputy about 150 feet. Deputy did have some injuries, went to the hospital and was later released. And so doesn't sound like anything significant for him, thank goodness. And so they stopped again, and the LA County Sheriff's Department Special Enforcement Bureau, can't call them SWAT apparently, they used chemical agents to force him from his vehicle after 9 hours. But yeah, he still kept the passenger in there and used her as collateral for his failed attempt to negotiate his way out of that. I don't understand why people think hostage negotiation works. Does anybody, totally off subject here, but not, has anybody heard of a hostage negotiation going right for the bad guy? Can anybody ask Google really quick? I'm stupid curious about this, and I'm gonna be distracted till somebody accepts the task. So can somebody ask Google if there's ever been a successful use of a hostage in just normal bullshit stuff? I'm sure there's been, because I know back in the day, the airlines that were having a lot of hostage problems and this and that, and the U.S. just said, we're not negotiating with hostages, we're talking about just a regular standoff anywhere. Does it, like just day-to-day stupid standoff stuff like this. Has anybody been successful? Attica, says Steve. Anyway, so here we are back. Uber again says in a statement, Uber said that Del Rio has been removed from the platform and that the company would support law enforcement with its investigation. Well, I sure as hell hope so, Uber. Good job. More canned text. I could work for Uber's corporate communications, whatever they want to, whatever they call it, because all they do is the same canned text statements over and over and over. They have like little note cards. They're oh wait, I got to read from this script. I got to read from here's the incident. I can only read from this script. That's exactly how they treat these damn things. It's annoying and stupid. So anyway, I think we're done with that one. This, by the way, this is going to be short tonight because I didn't have a lot of prep time and I didn't want to kill y'all with the legislation stuff. So, and it was a lot of it was really dark. So I didn't want to. We're going to figure out a way to end on a happy note. I know how we're going to end on a happy note. First off, we are going to. We're going to talk about this guy now. Give me 1 second. La la la. I know what we're going to do. Oh. Where did those go? Yeah. We're going to talk about this guy, Steve's buddy. Everybody recognize that guy? Well, this guy, CEO of Uber, Dara Khosrowshahi, I can never pronounce the last name, so I'm not going to try it. So, Dara, what do you think his, if you read it, don't put it in the chat, but what do you think his Uber rating is? Real quickly, let's get some guesses about it. Passenger rating, because God forbid, we know he's never going to frickin' drive. I mean, at least Dave Risher pretends he drives once in a while, even though they're staged worse than a McDonald's DoorDash delivery order to the White House. But anyway, come on, guys, throw in here. Throw in some, what do you think his Uber passenger score is? Yes, there have been multiple cases where hostage takers achieved at least some of their key demands. Okay, I want to know some of those demands, and apparently the chat is running really slow on here, but I can see we got Dara up on when I'm looking on my phone right now. So what do you guys think his Uber score is? I'm not able to tell us. So anyway, as you can guess, he's not a 5.0, but we got the first one coming in, says 4.20. That one, I'm going to tell everybody, that was low. His score reportedly is higher. And, but he claims, some of the stuff he talks about, he says, well, he's trying to get his ratings up higher. And, he says, well, he's a really good tipper. He says, for a $30 ride, I'll tip $10 to $15. But meanwhile, they don't want other passengers tipping. They want to suck all the money out of them. But, if you're the CEO of Uber, I think he should be at least doubling whatever that $30 ride should be, at least a $30 tip. I mean, come on, you want to do some goodwill, make a guy feel good, and oh yeah, it's because you look like this, so of course you're a little evil. So probably higher than any of us think. No, higher than 4.20, Amy. You went lower. So anyway, his Uber rating. Oh, before I say that, The average rider, he states, has a 4.89. I don't pick up 4.89. So if you're a 4.89, which he's not, he's lower than a 4.89. He is a 4.83. And he's like, oh, my Uber rating's like 4.83. I got to get to 4.9. Well, if you get to 4.9, I'll pick you up. But I'm not. If I saw Dara, I would totally pick it up. I don't care at a 4.5. But I set the rider ratings. Yeah, I know the chat's delayed. So yeah. Anyway, $30 ride, $15. Yeah, I probably, if I knew right up front, if you give me cash, I probably would give him 5 stars. Knowing it's him, though, that would be a really difficult one. Boy, you talk about a moral conflict. Can you be bought from Dara? We'll have to discuss that some other time. What's your price to get bought by Dara to get a 5-star ride rating? Get his ride rating up higher. I know mine's set at 4.95s for freaking years, and I literally see people, push 5 stars. They're like, oh, 5 stars, and they're like, look at that, because they're so happy they had such a great ride, blah blah blah, and they want to make me feel good because I'm probably not getting a tip, but whatever. I don't care. I don't count in the hope for tips whenever I'm doing the economics of this. So, yeah, dude's got a 4.83. He wants to get to a 4.9. Nobody has a 5-star on Uber. Everybody has a 5-star on Lyft. And then we had the whole DoorDash thing, where you get contract violations, and then you get, I don't know, the whole rating system is just screwed up and done. Meridian Heights says that picture is disrespectful to Satan. So funny note. I did this on Gemini, and I just quickly took picture, threw it up there, and I said, make this person, I didn't say who it was, I said, make this person look like Satan. It came back in seconds and said, I can't make a picture that looks like Satan. So I'm not sure what that's about. That's a whole nother interesting AI conversation for another podcast that doesn't have to do with gig work. But yeah, it wouldn't let me do it. So I had to prompt it to say a demon. And then, of course, that's why it has the ram horns and then the devil horns. But it wouldn't let me do that. So I had to prompt it different. So apparently Meridian, it agreed strongly. Gemini strongly agrees with you. But yeah, this has been an interesting episode. Short, we're about done here. I got one more thing I want to talk about. Again, trying to lighten this up at the end here because we got really dark and everybody's tired of hearing legislation. Honestly, some of it got cut short because we're still waiting to hear about some of the legislation, particularly the rideshare safety bill. So,
urban transport is gradually moving beyond roads, with new systems being designed for low-altitude airspace. Electric aircraft.
So this is what's going on in China. And their eVTOLs. The greatest thing about it is the one that's at the end. That one right there. Look at that. Look, here comes George Jetson. Sue, that one's just for you.
Its unusual shape. A flying saucer-style electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, or eVTOL, has made its public debut. The vehicle with rotors integrated into its structure, giving it a design similar to a UFO. But the focus is not just on appearance, it is built for practical low-altitude flight. The aircraft has a maximum takeoff weight of around 1,200 kilograms and can carry up to 4 passengers. Its payload capacity is about 450 kilograms and a total diameter of 5.6 meters.
Here's George Jetson. Do, 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 do. Forget the flying cars. Give me a Rosie. You know, it's actually not a bad idea, Amy. I think that would be better, but I don't want any of these like humanoid robots that they got going on in here in my house. Frozen. I feel like a Disney movie. Frozen. Let it go. Let it go. Anyway. All right. So no, I like the Rosie idea in concept, but I don't want any of those humanoid looking things. I have like iRobot fears heavily over that stuff. But yeah, the serious retro space age vibes. Absolutely Twin Pines. Steve says, I think the dude from Tweaker Geographic will fly before these. What Steve's referring to is a guy that had a box fan mounted to his back. And I think he was already flying, bro. Just not the kind of flying we're talking about. And he might get some DEA flight clearance, but he's not getting any FAA flight clearance. So, those are creepy. I don't know which those that Amy's referring to, but yeah, I thought that was the most obnoxious looking thing. It's like all of a sudden we went back into the 50s. I didn't really analyze the video a whole lot, but I'm guessing there's probably some AI influence with that. And it was obviously a video from a video, so it was cropped, so we couldn't really see everything that was going on with it. But there you go. That's what's going on with eVTOL in China. I think they're going to have your paper bucket delivering your beef lo mein to you next week, Steve. And Sue, then they'll come over to your neighborhood next week. So anyway, humanoid robots. Yeah, those things are creepy. Absolutely, Amy. That is for sure. Guys, short episode, but long, dark topics. Hopefully we had some fun at the end there. And we're done with episode 15. Don't forget to follow me on any of the other socials. If you haven't followed me here, please give me a sub. I want to get up to 100 subs sooner than later. I'm making great progress, so I appreciate every one of you that come in here every week, and a lot of you even twice a week that come in and join us. And so we will see you Thursday, where Steve and I, Rideshare Rodeo, get to have some fun and talk about a whole bunch of different topics, and some of the same topics. We'll dig into some of these things a little more and a little deeper. Otherwise, guys, be safe out there. Y'all have a wonderful evening.